हेलो मेरे दोस्तों, आप देख रहे हैं द आर्ट ऑफ वेल्थ बिल्डिंग। आज हमारे साथ है एक बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल एंटरप्रेन्योर जिनका नाम है विश्वजीत, और इन्होंने क्विको को लॉन्च किया। क्विको एग्जैक्टली है क्या? मेरे कई सारे क्लाइंट्स मुझे अक्सर एक ही सवाल पूछते हैं कि भाविन, आप हमको फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग तो करके देते हो, लेकिन आप हमको टैक्स प्लानिंग में हेल्प कर देते हो, लेकिन टैक्स फाइलिंग में हेल्प नहीं करते हो आप। तो मैं उनको अक्सर यही जवाब देता हूँ कि दोस्तों, ये काम तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का है। जैसे एक हार्ट सर्जन और ईएनटी दोनों डॉक्टर होते हैं, लेकिन हार्ट सर्जन स्पेशलिस्ट होता है हार्ट सर्जरी के लिए, और ईएनटी स्पेशलिस्ट होता है ईयर, नोज एंड थ्रोट के लिए। ठीक वैसे ही चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट स्पेशलिस्ट होता है रिटर्न फाइलिंग एंड अकाउंटिंग के लिए, और जो सीएफपी होता है वो चैंपियन होता है फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग के लिए। तो आज हमारे साथ है विश्वजीत और उनके साथ है साक्षी। विश्वजीत फाउंडर है, एक बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल एंटरप्रेन्योर है जिन्होंने क्विको को लॉन्च किया है। उनके साथ काम करने के लिए है साक्षी, जो कि उनकी लीड चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है। तो इस कॉल का, इस वीडियो का एक ही मकसद है कि आज मैं आपको सिखा पाऊं एक सक्सेसफुल एंटरप्रेन्योर की जर्नी से, कि उन्होंने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप कैसे शुरू की, वो क्या करते थे कुछ सालों पहले, उनका एक्सपीरियंस क्या रहा। उनको हाल ही में रेन मैटर, आई बिलीव रेन मैटर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ जीरोधा, जिन्होंने उनको भी फंडिंग दी है। तो ये जर्नी उनकी क्या थी? क्योंकि मेरे साथ कई सारे ऐसे मिलेनियल्स है, कई सारे ऐसे यंग लोग जो मेरे साथ कंसल्टेशन लेते हैं, वो मुझे अक्सर एक ही सवाल पूछते हैं कि सर, हम एंटरप्रेन्योर कैसे बने। तो मैं भी कर लेता हूँ थोड़ा बहुत, लेकिन मैं इनकी जितना सक्सेसफुल नहीं हूँ। तो लेट्स हियर फ्रॉम द हॉर्सेस माउथ कि वो क्या कहते हैं अपने बारे में। सो विश्वजीत, टॉक अबाउट योरसेल्फ, इट्स ऑल योर्स। आई मीन, जस्ट बी फ्री एंड टेल अस अबाउट योर जर्नी। आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं हमसे?
So first of all, Bhavin, thank you very much for those kind words. I've been lately hearing it quite frequently, but I don't think I'm quite a successful entrepreneur yet. Okay.
Oh, that's good number to,
Entrepreneur
yeah.
is always, entrepreneurship is more like a journey than a destination, right? So when you are
Right.
X, you want to grow 2X. जब आप 2X हो, आपको 5X grow करना है. So you are continuously chasing something or the other, right? But thanks for those kind words anyhow.
Thank
So
you.
I think talking about Quico, I mean भाविन, आपने बिल्कुल सही तरीके से क्विको को एक्सप्लेन किया कि वी आर टैक्स प्लानिंग प्रेपरेशन एंड फाइलिंग प्लेटफॉर्म इज हाउ हम लोग एक्सप्लेन करते हैं क्विको, राइट? और सिंगल लाइन पिच, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू हैव वन लाइन पिच, स्पेशली एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर. So what does that now mean? We help India में there are about 10 crores registered taxpayers or around 1 crore registered businesses, right? And somewhere हमें realize हुआ कि taxes are taboo in India, right? एक ऐसा टॉपिक है कि जो यूजुअली हम लोग डिस्कस नहीं करते हैं. I mean, डिस्कोर्स में we don't talk about taxes. I don't ask you आपने कितना सेव किया, you don't ask me मैंने कितना सेव किया या कैसे प्लान किया, right?
Right, right.
And the primary reason for that is because हम वो problem को delegate कर देते हैं, right? We throw money at it and we hope somebody solves it for us, right?
Solve it for us.
So
Correct, you're
वो
right.
mentality change करने के लिए we started Quico. We said कि अगर आप stock trading इतना easily मोबाइल ऐप के थ्रू कर सकते हो, अगर आप cabs बुक कर सकते हो, मूवी टिकट्स बुक कर सकते हो, तो आप टैक्सेस क्यों नहीं फाइल कर सकते हैं, right? And out of those 8 or 9 crore, I mean, 4 or 5 crore of us are just salaried. We get a very simple salary income, Form 16, right? So Quico is essentially a fintech platform. हम लोग हमारी टीम में, like we explained, chartered accountants भी है, developers भी है, designers भी है. There are people who write content as well, right? So we are trying to simplify taxes, is how we usually put it, for individuals and small businesses. So that is a very
Right.
quick introduction of Quico.
Right. So that was quite brief. I really liked it, and I'll tell you why. Vishwajit, से as you know that this is not a paid promotion, right? मैं अपने सब्सक्राइबर से, जो आप ये वीडियो देख रहे हैं, मैं आपको क्लियरली कह दूं कि ये कोई प्रमोशन नहीं है, ये सिर्फ एक अवेयरनेस है टैक्सेशन को लेकर। फाइन। तो अभी विश्वजीत, मुझे ये बताइए कि देखो, जैसे मैंने एक बुक पढ़ी थी, द फास्ट लेन मिलीनियर, आई डोंट नो इफ यू रेड दैट। उसमें एक ऑथर ने एक 5 तरीके बताए, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा है कोई किसी भी बिजनेस में ये 5 चीजें होनी चाहिए, जिसमें से फर्स्ट है नीड। ओके, कि लोगों को उस चीज की जरूरत है कि नहीं। दूसरी चीज है उस बिजनेस का जो है, जिसको मैंने याद रखने के लिए कहा हुआ है NESTC, यानी कि नीड। देन वी हैव द एंट्री। किसी भी बिजनेस में एंट्री जितना इजी होगा, उतना ही वो बिजनेस ज्यादा कॉम्पिटिटिव हो जाएगा।
Right.
फिर हम बात करते हैं स्केलेबल, वेदर द बिजनेस इज स्केलेबल और नो। एंड द लास्ट इज टाइम, whether are you able to free up your time when you are doing any business. And the last one is control. You need to control your own business. So I mean, would you like to throw some light on how did you think about being an entrepreneur? Why do you think can Quico add a value to people's life? What made you think only about taxation? Why not something else? So I want to hear about you a lot and lot. So जितना आप अपने बारे में बात कर सकते हो कीजिए, because I want young India to understand the journey of an entrepreneur, journey of raising funds. Please do that. Please speak about it.
Right. No, absolutely. I think one very important thing is Bhavin, I'm very bullish about India, right?
Very good.
Because
Yeah,
we
that's
are a billion plus population, right? One of the fastest growing middle class globally, right? And educated as well, right? So I think there is not a better place. मेरे को नहीं लग रहा है कि इंडिया से better कोई place है right now to do disruption, right? To scale out businesses. So I
you're
think
absolutely
before starting Quico, मैं around 10 साल के लिए I was in US. I worked with large investment banks. I started my career with Fidelity Investments, which is largest mutual fund platforms, brokerage. They are also very big in retirement, planning, financial planning. I mean, you are a CFP, you would know, the scale of their business, right? So while working at Fidelity, as I'm a tech guy, right? I'm a computer science guy. So mostly what I did in मेरे 10 साल के career में while working for those large investment banks is solve financial problem statements using technology, right? So how to build a brokerage platform, yeah, how to build a managed accounts, financial planning tools, right? How to help because if you know it, US में there is 401k workplace retirement saving plan, right? So
yes,
everybody
I
does
know.
financial planning there. So that's where my kind of financial education started while working at Fidelity. उसके बाद I worked at Deutsche Bank, which is another global investment bank, and वहाँ पे मैंने primarily 2008 financial crisis के बाद जो regulations आए, I primarily worked on implementing those regulations for Deutsche Bank, right?
Fantastic. Okay.
So that has been my kind of while doing that I realized that, I was very good at solving problems. I was very proactive in my communication. And I thought I wanted to do it for myself, right? That's the young India. The young India kya hai? Young India wants to work for themselves, not for somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Which is why I think herds में people are coming back from some of these places because they see opportunities in India, right? This growing middle class, smartphone penetration, internet penetration. I think we have right chart busting numbers in all those important matrices. So that's why मैं वापस आया इंडिया में. Now आपने बहुत important question पूछा, right? कि you don't just pick up any problem and start working on it, right? ये मेरा number one usually advice रहता है. I don't qualify myself as an expert or anything, but whatever little experience मेरे को मिला है by running Quico, I usually tell youngsters either जो Quico में internship करते हैं who might want to start their own startups, right? Or I go to a lot of incubators, accelerators. One thing I tell them is that startup is like a marriage, right? Before you marry someone, you want to meet that person 10 times, 20 times, right? You want to know that person very well before you commit
Right.
to it because it's a lifetime proposition.
Right.
So
Right.
I think startup
Absolutely.
is the same thing कि जहाँ पे आप अपने most productive years invest करोगे, you'll probably be working 14, 16, 18 hours for next few years, right? So you want to choose problem statement very wisely, right? आपको ऐसा कोई problem statement choose नहीं करना है जो 6 months, 12 months down the line unviable हो for whatever reason, right? So that is number one very important thing. I think I ask people to judge it by जैसे आपने बोला one very important thing that I look at is कि you should try to solve need-based problem statements, right? I mean, we know Facebooks and there are unicorns who have built want-based products, right? Snapchat recently or TikTok. I mean, people don't need TikTok; they want TikTok, right? So for every one of those starters, I can count you 1,000 starters which are need-based problem solvers, right? So I usually tell a young budding entrepreneurs, okay, find a need-based problem statement that applies to millions of people, right? Because you don't want to be solving problem for your friends or your family or only 100 other people that you know. You want to solve a problem for millions of people. So ये दो बहुत ही important criteria है. and I think that is where the answer to your question कि हम लोगों ने text platform क्यों build किया, right? Because we saw people around us, of course, building financial planning platforms. There are a lot of investment platforms these days in India. In fact, it's overcrowded, right? And with what happened to mutual fund going from regular plans to direct plans, a lot of them are finding to reinvent themselves, right? There
Right.
were, I mean, Zerodha was building amazing brokerage platform. They were small case and sensible. These guys were building amazing stuff in capital market space, right? So Texas is something कि जहाँ पे भावेन मेरे को लगा कि there weren't any technology disruptors, right? Which is where my second advice comes कि मैं usually youngsters को ये बताता हूँ कि whenever you start a startup, you need to find at least two dimensions कि जहाँ पे आप disrupt करोगे traditional way of doing things को. And a
Right.
disruption is not an incremental improvement. It's not like 10%, 20%, 30% improvement. It has to be a factor of 10, right?
Right.
So, for
Right.
example, the largest cab company in India owns zero cabs, right? Or the
Right.
largest movie
Absolutely.
ticket booking company in India owns zero theaters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
In
look at the
that case,
disruption.
even the largest delivery guys don't own any restaurants like Zomato
Exactly.
and right. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. Correct.
Right. So I always tell youngsters that you need to disrupt at least on two dimensions, right? कि जहाँ पे आप 10x improvement कर रहे हो from traditional way of doing things, and we found tremendous opportunities in that sense in tech space, right? Because taxes were traditionally done by chartered accountants. Whatever a few online platforms we saw were built from that perspective, right? I mean, of course, they solve problem, but they solve problem for very limited amount of crowd where you just connect with someone online, but you are still served in a traditional manner, right? कि जहाँ पे
Right.
कोई आपके साथ ऑनलाइन कनेक्ट होने के बाद सेम ट्रेडिशनल मैनर में आपको सर्व करेगा, but we didn't see very many technology disruptors in the space. जिसी उसी कारण we started focusing on tax as a problem statement because like I said, uh, इंडिया के टैक्स रेवेन्यूज आज है 25 लाख करोड़, right? Last year, just TDS के unclaimed credits were 30,000 crores, right? So
Oh,
there are
okay.
so many inefficiencies in the system, especially tax system. Fortunately, since we started building Quico, government has made leaps and bounds in terms of rationalizing infrastructure, right? In terms of information technology, they are inviting third-party developers like us to solve problems. I mean,
Right.
GST ka whole idea was to not have a single point of failure, like government not building everything and startups building it, right? So
Right.
there's a whole
Right. Right.
ecosystem around it, right? So
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
think एक चीज मैं जो मेरी टीम को बोलता हूँ कि usually you have to spend marketing money to sell your product. In our case, government spends money, right? आप theater में जाते हो, you will see advertisements about paying taxes and filing taxes, right?
Right.
You
Right.
see it
Right.
on billboards. So what better
Right.
business to be in जहाँ पे somebody else is spending money to
Spending money.
increase your
Spending money.
market, right? So
Fantastic. That is the right way of thinking. Right.
right.
Okay.
So
So
I
Abhi,
think which is why we started building
coming
Quico
on to the time.
block by block. And the third most important advice Bhaven I give is, I mean, it's a cliche 1,000-day rule, right? Whenever you build a business, you have to give it at least 1,000 days, right? Because
Okay.
that's when you actually understand what your business model is, what your unit economics are, what are the important matrices. A lot of time you pivot in those 3 years, right? Where you become a more efficient, more lean, more performant business. So don't give up on an idea very soon. I think at the same time there's a thought process: fail fast. जहाँ पे you don't overcommit yourself. You are able to detach yourself from something that is not working out. But at the same time, I think entrepreneurship is, like I said, marriage. You have to work hard at it to make it work, right? So I tell youngsters some of these things whenever I get an opportunity. And I think what we are trying to do at Quaco is exactly those things. We are trying to disrupt the traditional way of doing taxes by a factor of 10x. Because I tell you, आज तक the way we used to see taxes is this monolithic event, right? कि भी साल में एक बार tax file करना है. It's once a year event, right? But essentially, taxes kya hai, Bhaven? I mean, you as a certified financial planner can explain it better than I can. It's essentially summary of your financial year, right? You bought stocks, you invested for your future, for your retirement, you bought a house, you got married, right? You bought an electric car, you care about climate change, you donated to a cause. right? So it's essentially summary of your financial year and you should be in charge of it. ये हमारा thought process है. And we enable and empower users to become in charge of their taxes by building a very simple platform, right? Which is conversational, काफी curated है. There's great amount of content, video content है, interactive content है. So जिसके through we give people a lot of confidence that they can do it themselves. And I think what I
Okay.
have found is it's addictive. Once people know that वो खुद से कर रहे हैं तो वो अपने friends के लिए करते हैं, वो अपने parents के लिए करते हैं, colleagues के लिए करते हैं. So
Very good.
that's how we've been building Quico.
Fantastic. I think that itself answers quite a few of my questions. लेकिन विश्वजीत, अभी जो है हम थोड़ा क्विको से थोड़ा हटके मैं आपको थोड़ा आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स क्वेश्चंस पूछने वाला हूँ, जो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जो नए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं जिनको अपना बिजनेस स्केल करना है, जिनको एक ऐसा एक बिजनेस डालना है जो लोगों का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करे, आप मुझे बताओ कि आपको जो फंडिंग मिला है, हाउ लीन आर यू? व्हाट एडवाइस वुड यू लाइक टू गिव पीपल अबाउट कंजर्विंग कैश व्हेन इट इज अ स्टार्टअप? देखो, मैं आपको एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. मैंने ऐसे लोग भी देखे हैं जिनको फंडिंग मिलते ही वो अपनी फैंसी ऑफिसेज बना लेते हैं, नया फर्नीचर बना लेते हैं, नए नए लोगों को बिना कुछ सालों पहले एक बहुत बड़ी वेबसाइट भी कोलैप्स हो गई थी. आई वुड नॉट वांट टू टेक अ नेम. और उनके फाउंडर्स ने टीवी पे आके ये कहा था कि वी एंटिसिपेटेड अ ग्रोथ वेरी फास्ट, और उतना फास्ट ग्रोथ हुआ नहीं, और इसी वजह से हम लोग आज कोलैप्स हो गए. और फिर उनको पीपल दे हैड टू फायर पीपल. So
Right.
please give youngsters the advice about being frugal in business. कैश को कैसे कंजर्व करे, कितना पैसा मार्केटिंग में लगना चाहिए, कितना पैसा लोगों को हायर करने में लगना चाहिए. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन मैं साक्षी से पूछना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि ऑलमोस्ट 20 मिनट शी स्टैंडिंग आइडल, उनको भी थोड़ा इन्वॉल्व करते हैं. लेकिन पहले आप मुझे ब्रीफ में इसके बारे में बताइए.
No, absolutely. So Bhavin, really good questions, because I think one thing we have learned from this COVID crisis is, your unit economics of your business have to be strong. आप, I think one very important thing, the reason we raise investments from Nitin, is apart from being a great investor, I really admire उन्होंने जो business build किया है, right? I think there are only handful of entrepreneurs in India जिन्होंने unicorns build किए है without any external funding. I can
Right.
name Sridhar Vembu from Zoho, another great entrepreneur, right? And one very important thing they teach all of us, all young entrepreneurs, is that at the end of the day, unit economics of your business are paramount, right? What we usually, हम लोग entrepreneur क्या करते हैं कि we seek validation outside, right? How much money do investors invest in us is great way how society right now judges entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
I think what Nitin and Sridhar have shown is, I think it's great. It's very important part of ecosystem, right? Because you need capital in a capitalistic society to build great businesses. But at the same time, I think heart of the good business is a strong customer base or a growing customer base, right? If you have a product that customers want to pay for, and you have strong unit economics, then I think that's paramount, more important than anything else, right? So what one very important thing when I ask Nitin is, every one of our competition offers their platform for free, right? And we charge for it. And I was, for longest amount of time, I used to get cold feet. Hey, yaar, would we survive in the marketplace using this business model? Right? And Nitin said one very important thing is, if you can't charge for your product, you shouldn't be building it, right? Because that shows confidence in your product, right? That shows कि आपका जो problem statement है, it's really making an impact in your customers' lives, which is why they would want to pay for it, right? So I think that is lost somewhere, to an extent in this, private equity world, के जहाँ पे a lot of time the unit economics kind of take a back seat. Future growth का promise becomes very important, right? What you talked about, what is most important for any startup is talent, right? I think talent is the biggest asset. And you don't want to be, I wouldn't say that you don't want to grow fast, but I think you want to grow sustainably, right? Whenever I talk to young talent, every week I talk to hundreds of people who want to, come work with us at Quico. And one thing I always tell them, okay, we look for culturally fit people, not skill fit people, right? What that means is that we want to work with people who are problem solvers, who feel equally passionate, जैसे हम लोग passionate feel करते हैं about this problem statement. right? We don't want somebody ki jisko A या B skill pata hai, programming language pata hai, because we know we can teach that to you if you are really
Right.
driven and motivated, right? So I think as startups, I think we need to be extremely focused on talent and retaining that talent. That is number one very important investment or asset I think you would want to build as an entrepreneur, and which is something
Right.
I feel very strongly about. And
Right.
one way we hire people into Quico is through internships, right? Because internships are a great way. It's like an elongated interview, right? Where for 3 months they get to know you. Because I don't think hiring is a one-directional process. It's not just you hiring them; they are also hiring you, right? That I want you to be my employer, right? So internships is great way for them to know our work culture, know people. हमारे लिए it's important to see if they are culturally fit with us or not, right? They feel equally passionately whether they have strong work ethics or not. So we hire almost a dozen interns every summers, and most of them end up working full time with us, right? So I think these
Okay.
are some of the things that I usually, when I have a discourse with my counterparts, entrepreneurs, small talks. These are some of the things we talk about. And I think increasingly COVID has shown us, right? Because it has turned a lot of business models upside down, right? Because I mean, a lot of business models, even today, even technology companies rely on physical interaction, right? I mean, starting from food delivery to e-commerce, right? So I think one thing it has taught us is, your unit economics, strong unit economics, word of mouth publicity, a growth in customer base are the fundamentals of a sound business, which is what we are trying to build here at Quico.
Right, right. So I think that was quite a good way to look at it. What you answered to me, even I'm getting a lot to learn. Right. So अभी as I told you before, हम साक्षी को भी थोड़ा involve करेंगे इसमें because I think she's quite tired just standing and looking at the camera. So Sakshi, I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, now guys, before हम लोग साक्षी से बात करें उसके पहले अगर आपने Quico का कुछ I don't know, I did do a research before picking you up and talking to you. क्विको की कुछ काफी अच्छी एड कैंपेन्स है जो मैंने देखी जिसमें वो प्रमोट करते हैं, जैसे कि किसी ने रास्ते पे कचरा फेंक दिया तो एक छोटा बच्चा अपने उस अंकल को कह रहा है, ओ अंकल रास्ते पे कचरा क्यों फेंका? अंकल रिप्लाइज कि रास्ता तुम्हारे बाप का है, तो नहीं हाँ मेरे बाप का है क्योंकि मेरा बाप टैक्स भरता है. So I found that to be very creative. I mean that was brilliant because that is the way you connect with people. वो छोटे आजकल like जैसे मैंने किसी को देख लिया रास्ते पे थूकते हुए तो मैं भी कहता हूँ बॉस तेरे बाप का रास्ता नहीं है, मेरा बाप टैक्स भरता है. So I think that is a good way to look at it. That was fantastic done by you. Now coming to Sakshi. So Sakshi, you are working with Quico or you are a partner with Quico? I'm sorry, I don't know about it.
No, I am working with Quico since 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
So Sakshi is one of our oldest employees, and
okay, fantastic.
It's a very interesting story where I had to for longest amount of time chase Sakshi to join Quico. She was one of the brightest students in her school. She topped her CA exams, and I mean she has done fantastic job. I tell you one thing. Sakshi is most viewed author on Quora when it comes to Texas, with more than a million views to her profile. And she writes some great content. Quora is unpaid. You don't get paid for writing on Quora. But the reason she does that, or we at Quico do it, is because we think that is where our target audience goes. That's where they ask problem. So we go onto Quora and we answer their questions there.
Right. So I would like to add one thing over here for my viewers. दोस्तों देखिए किसी भी business को जब हम शुरू करते हैं, because I also discussed this with offline with Vishwajit when we were talking. I love to read books. तो मैंने जितनी भी books पढ़ी है हर चीज में हर book में एक ही चीज कही गई है कि always look at solving problems and adding value. Money is a byproduct. Money will follow if you're doing good. So I think Sakshi is working on those grounds. जैसा आपने कहा Quora doesn't pay, but she likes to solve problems. She likes to help people. And of course, I mean, you started feeling Sakshi because you know how talented she is now. So now, Sakshi, I'm going to put you on a spot, okay?
Yeah.
You have to tell me as a boss, Vishwajit में क्या 3 negative qualities है और क्या 3 positive qualities है. And Vishwajit, you don't need to mind about it, okay? This is a very casual conversation. So
right, Sakshi, absolutely.
Please. Let's talk about the negative qualities first. Just 3. Okay, let's make it 2. अगर आपके लिए 3 difficult हो रही है तो let's make it 2.
Okay, I think something that he always tells us, पूरी team को, that he is little short tempered. But I think
Okay.
वो बहुत necessary चीज है, because उसके बिना I mean we don't get that motivation to work. So if we are
Right.
little scared of him, that is, we take it positively, that that's the best way to work here. And
Okay.
contrary to that, if we look at a positive point, it is extremely friendly and transparent when it comes to him. You can go and talk to him about anything. उनसे कुछ भी share करके कुछ भी बात कर सकते हैं. He'll help you solve all the problems. And that is how it's a startup. I mean, there's no hierarchy. It's always so friendly.
Right. So
Right.
I
So
mean,
यहाँ पे
I wouldn't try to justify any of that, but I think one very important thing is this is, I think, another learning for a lot of young entrepreneurs, as it was for me. Okay, startups are grueling, right? They are blood, sweat, and tears, right? You give it your 150%, and you want it to succeed, right? But I think healthy work environment is very important. So we fight amongst each other, we debate, we discuss, we argue, but at the end of the day, the common purpose, common goal is to solve problems. I think, which is what we focus on. And when
right.
you go on to Pico, you wouldn't believe that it's a very small 10, 15 people team that have built that platform. I think, which is another great thing about Zero. Okay, they such a large platform, and only 24, 25 developers have built that entire platform. So I
Right.
think that's our philosophy.
Fantastic. Okay, so आपने अभी आपने मुझे अभी फिलहाल खाली एक ही नेगेटिव पॉइंट बताया. Before we go to the second negative point, of course, then we'll talk about positives also, so that will give some boost to his ego. Don't worry. But now, coming on to, I mean, since you spoke about the short-temperedness, I will tell you, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. मैं फिलहाल Elon Musk पढ़ रहा हूँ for people who
Finally,
always
you
keep
are
on asking.
redeeming me.
Yeah. So तीनों ने, I think, because I think he can, if he's read those books, he can. Steve Jobs was short-tempered, Elon Musk is short-tempered, and of course Jeff Bezos is also a short-tempered guy. Even I read few other books which is the story of CEOs. Like one of the books that many people ask me, The Barbarians at the Gate. It's a very good book, a book about a CEO who did a leverage buyout. So even he was short-tempered. So I think short-tempered लोग ही लाइफ में आगे बढ़ते, तभी लोग उनकी चीजें सुनते हैं. वरना लोग बहुत, they take you for granted.
No,
That's what I believe.
I don't think that's an example I want to set for people. But I think usually my friends tell me Elon Musk without money. So I think that's the only parallel I can draw with Elon Musk. He's a generational entrepreneur. I mean, we haven't seen an entrepreneur like that in a longest amount of time.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
the problems that he is solving are just I mean, one person solving all those problems at once. I mean, I don't know
Yes,
how his
yes,
head doesn't explode.
yes. I think he's quite inspirational. Yeah. So now we're coming back to Sakshi. Sakshi, what is the second negative point? It's okay. मतलब आप brief में बताइए. What is the second negative point? जो आपको लगता है कि एक entrepreneur की positive quality भी हो सकती है और negative quality भी हो सकती है. What is it?
I think so. I got married last year, so
Okay.
and because he is extremely workaholic, so
Okay.
he works for longer hours, and that is what he expects from me as well. तो वो एक चीज
Okay.
है जहाँ पे मुझे I always have
We
to
can't-
convince him, and I have to try to justify why I have to stop working early and
Okay.
something
I mean,
like
I told you,
Okay.
right? When you join a startup, you have to leave your family. No,
Well,
but she's right. I mean, that's a continuous. I think one very important question that people invariably ask in interviews is, "What are the workers?" And I tell them, "You don't go home. You work here day and night." Right? But I think the
absolutely.
bottom line is some of us are workaholic, especially entrepreneurs are workaholic, and
They
sometimes
are.
we lose sight, right, how important it is to have work-life balance. And sometimes my
Right.
team tries to remind that to me, that we have a family to go back to, and it's very
Right.
important for a healthy, work, healthy career, that you have, a very healthy personal life as well.
Right.
It's a very important point.
Fantastic. Great. So I think, yeah, that is one good point कि work-life balance भी equally जरूरी है. So now coming back to Sakshi, now give me one positive point that you really like about Vishnuji.
I think I really look up to him. He is extremely
He sets up a
inspiring
good
because
example.
we
Right.
worked from home for 4 months during the lockdown. And I do not remember wasting a single minute, even if nobody was watching me or nobody was looking over me. So that is how he was managing a team of 20-25 people right from the laptop, and everybody, and he was making sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. So I think managing so many people together, he himself being an engineer, interested in content, interested in building the products in, income tax law. So I think all of that is, I think he's my sole source of inspiration, because I think I really look up to him, and I feel I want to be like him, 5 years or 10 years down the line.
No, you don't want to be short-tempered. You don't want to be short. No, I tell you, again another anecdote like that, right? I go into interviews and people ask me कि अच्छा आप founder हो तो hiring कौन करता है? तो मैं I say yes I do hiring. Then coding कौन करता है? I do coding. कि business कौन sales कौन करता है? I do. मैं बोलता हूँ कि भाई janitor कौन है मत पूछ. I mean that's what an entrepreneur's life is. You do everything and anything that is needed. You wear all the different hats. But along the way, you try to find great people like Sakshi. Yeah.
राइट देखिए मैं आपको मेरा एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करता हूँ कि मैं आप जितना बड़ा तो एंटरप्रेन्योर नहीं हूँ, होपफुली 2-3 साल में मुझे भी कोई बड़ा इन्वेस्टर फंड कर देगा, लेकिन दैट इज नॉट माय एम ऑफ कोर्स. लेकिन देखिए क्या है कि एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर ऑल्दो आई एम अ वेरी स्मॉल एंटरप्रेन्योर, मेरा एक छोटा सा चैनल है, मैं अपने क्लाइंट्स को हैंडल करता हूँ, लेकिन आई स्टिल एंड अप वर्किंग फॉर 14 आवर्स अ डे, राइट. सो आई थिंक मैं खुद ही जैसे हमारा जैसे प्रॉब्लम आ रहा था कुछ रिकॉर्डिंग को लेकर, तो मैं आईटी वाला हूँ. हाँ खाली मेरा एक आध जो स्टाफ है जो मेरा अपॉइंटमेंट देख लेता है वगैरह, लेकिन अदरवाइज मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स जैसे कि बस नंबर 11, आई डोंट नो व्हाट इज बस नंबर 11 इफ यू नो, कि कहीं जाना होता तो पैदल चलो, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज बस नंबर 11. तो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में बस नंबर 11 ही काम आता है. स्टार्टिंग में आपको सब काम खुद ही करना पड़ता है जब तक कि जो है आपका कंपनी थोड़ा बड़ा ना हो जाए, काम काफी बड़ा ना हो जाए. So I think that is one good example that you are setting by saying कि sweat equity is the best equity. That is a good. Okay, so now coming back to Sakshi. Now why am I diverting again to Sakshi is because हम लोगों ने काफी सारी बातें कर ली, तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए कि व्यूअर सिर्फ हम दोनों के बारे में जान के थोड़े बोर हो जाए. तो साक्षी के बारे में अगर हम बात करें, साक्षी यू आर अ सीए, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट. अभी देखिए मेरे जो व्यूअर्स है, जो सब्सक्राइबर्स है, वो ज्यादा करके पर्सनल फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग में मानते हैं. मेरा उनसे हमेशा एक ही एडवाइस होता है कि अपने गोल्स को प्लान कीजिए, सीएफपी की राय लीजिए, डोंट गो फॉर एनी प्रोडक्ट दैट इज नॉट यूजफुल फॉर यू, लुक फॉर अ लॉन्ग टर्म व्यू. अपनी रिटायरमेंट, बच्चों की एजुकेशन, वेकेशन, उनको प्लान कीजिए. तो अभी अक्सर मेरे क्लाइंट्स के कुछ क्वेश्चंस होते हैं व्हेन वी कम टू द पर्सनल फाइनेंशियल टैक्सेशन. ठीक है, तो साक्षी आई वुड आस्क यू फ्यू क्वेश्चंस अबाउट द टैक्सेशन, कंसीडरिंग यू आर अकाउंटिंग चैम्प, टैक्सेशन चैम्प. So I would want you to give me quick answer in a very not a very technical terms. Okay? जितना सिंपल आप कर सकते हो उतना सिंपल कीजिएगा. तो सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है कि म्यूचुअल फंड्स में, ऑल्दो मैंने कई बार इस पे वीडियो भी बनाया, लेकिन फिर भी लोग मुझे यही सवाल पूछते हैं कि म्यूचुअल फंड में एक होता है इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड, एक होता है डेट म्यूचुअल फंड. इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड में 12 महीनों से ज्यादा अगर आपने होल्ड किया तो लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स लगता है, और डेट म्यूचुअल फंड में अगर आपने 3 सालों से ऊपर, 36 मंथ के ऊपर अगर आपने होल्ड किया तो आपको लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल टैक्स लगता है और आपको इंडेक्सेशन का बेनिफिट मिलता है. कैन यू ब्रीफ अबाउट इट? व्हाई, आई मीन व्हाट इज द टैक्सेशन ऑन द long term on the equity, and what is the taxation on the long term on the debt, and then we come on to the short term on equity and debt. Just make it very simple for us.
Okay. So equity mutual funds are basically mutual funds. This way, most of the investments are into equity shares. Okay. Right. And that is why the treatment is exactly like equity shares only. Tax treatment.
Right.
Okay. So like you might know कि equity shares listed होते हैं stock exchanges पर, और उस पे STT paid होता है, Securities Transaction Tax. Okay, so that is why उसकी जो टैक्स रेट्स है वो डेट म्यूचुअल फंड से थोड़े कम है, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी अ पोर्शन ऑफ टैक्स हैज बीन पेड. ओके, एंड दैट इज व्हाई एसटीटी चार्ज करते हैं ब्रोकर्स इन्वेस्टर्स से. सो दैट इज अ फॉर्म ऑफ टैक्स दैट यू हैव ऑलरेडी पेड. तो अगर इक्विटी शेयर्स या इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स पे लॉन्ग टर्म गेन्स है, मतलब 12 मंथ से ज्यादा होल्ड किए उसके बाद सेल किया है, तो इन दैट केस द टैक्स रेट इज 10% इफ योर टोटल लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स एक्सीड 1 लाख. Okay, and earlier ये exempt income था, but recently 2 years ago जब budget आया उसमें it was made a taxable income, और उस पे 10% टैक्स इंट्रोड्यूस किया था. तो इसीलिए जो पुराने इन्वेस्टर्स हैं जिनके पास ऑलरेडी इक्विटी शेयर्स थे उस टाइम पे, तो दे गॉट एन ऑप्शन कि वो ग्रैंडफादरिंग रूल अप्लाई करके वो शेयर की 31 जनवरी को एफएमवी कंसिडर करके फिर कैलकुलेशंस कर। सो आई थिंक 10% का जो रेट है वो एप्लीकेबल है और इसके रिलेटेड डिटेल वाइज चीजें आईटीआर में भी रिपोर्ट करना इम्पोर्टेंट है। सो
राइट, और अगर हम इक्विटी के शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स की बात करें तो इक्विटी में जैसे कि 12 महीनों से पहले अगर मैंने कोई स्टॉक बेचा और उस पे अगर मुझे कोई प्रॉफिट हुआ तो हाउ डज इट वर्क?
उस पे फ्लैट 15% इज द टैक्स रेट।
फ्लैट 15%, ओके। और अगर हम डेट फंड के लॉन्ग टर्म की बात करें तो
डेट में अगर लॉन्ग टर्म है जैसे 3 years होल्ड करने के बाद अगर इफ इट हैज बीन सोल्ड तो उसमें इंडेक्सेशन का अगर हम बेनिफिट लेते हैं in that case the tax rate will be 20% and if you don't take benefit of indexation then the tax rate is 10%.
ओके, और शॉर्ट टर्म की बात करें तो डेट में
शॉर्ट टर्म में डेट म्यूचुअल फंड्स का इनकम इज कंसिडर्ड एट स्लैब रेट्स। तो और कोई भी इनकम है जैसे सैलरी है, इंटरेस्ट इनकम है, वो सारे इनकम टैक्स के जो डिफाइंड स्लैब रेट्स है उसके हिसाब से टैक्स।
I think I have a very interesting anecdote here. I think grandfathering rule is something really confuses a lot of people, right? I mean, late finance minister Arun Jaitley ने introduce किया था ये 2018 बजट में, and I heard somebody saying कि ये grandfathering rule ये है कि जहाँ पे आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ने स्टॉक्स परचेज किए थे और उतने लंबे टाइम से आपके फैमिली में है, इसलिए उसे ग्रैंडफादरिंग रूल कहते हैं। But I think in very simple terms, like she said, it was exempt before and they made it taxable later. So they did not want to, disadvantage नहीं देना था उन लोगों को, existing investors को, right? So what they said is कि up until 31st January आपने जो भी gains कमाए हैं उसको हम लोग still consider करेंगे exempt और 31st Jan onwards जो भी आपने gains कमाए उस पे हम आप लोग को 10% charge करेंगे। Another interesting thing is the reason to introduce this long term capital gain, right? Because we also saw it very frequently. I think, of course, there were concerns around foreign institutional investors, FII. The other important thing we saw is that India mein, if you go into corporate culture, a lot of time what happens is your salary is a very small component of your compensation, right? A large part of compensation is stock options, right? And when you stay vested for a year, you pay zero tax on it, right? So we used to see people whose CTC would be 1 CR, but basic salary would be 10 lakh or 12 lakh, right? While rest all of it would be in stock options, and you would just wait out for 1 year and then not pay any taxes on it, right? So I think that was another important reason why Nirmala Sitharaman has continued with long-term capital gains tax.
Right, fantastic. Now, sir, next question about the taxation is, I think अभी व्यूअर्स को काफी हद तक क्लियर हो गया होगा कि म्यूचुअल फंड में टैक्सेशन कैसे काम करता है। तो अभी हम बात करते हैं टैक्सेशन ऑन, देखिए अभी फर्स्ट हाउस के ऊपर तो आपको पता है कि 2 लाख तक का जो इंटरेस्ट होगा वो आप सेक्शन 24 में दिखा सकते हो और जो आप प्रिंसिपल पेमेंट करते हो वो आप 1.5 लाख तक दिखा सकते हो। तो ये काफी कॉमन चीज है जो काफी लोगों को पता है। लेकिन मैं आपको एक अनोखा क्वेश्चन पूछने जा रहा हूँ कि सेकेंड हाउस, मान लीजिए मेरे पास 2 प्रॉपर्टी है, वैसे है नहीं अब तक लेकिन एक एग्जाम्पल ले रहा हूँ कि मान लीजिए मेरे पास 2 प्रॉपर्टी है, एक प्रॉपर्टी को मैंने रेंट पे दिया हुआ है या मान लीजिए मैंने रेंट पे नहीं दिया हुआ है और मैं उसके ऊपर भी लोन की ईएमआई भर रहा हूँ, तो उसमें मेरा टैक्सेशन कैसे काम करेगा?
ओके, सो अगर 2 प्रॉपर्टीज है फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल और अगर एक प्रॉपर्टी में आप खुद रिसाइड कर रहे हैं देन इट बिकम्स अ सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टी और दूसरी जो प्रॉपर्टी है वो हो जाएगी लेट आउट प्रॉपर्टी। सो इवन इफ यू हैव नॉट गिवन इट ऑन रेंट, इवन इफ यू हैव नॉट लेट इट आउट, इट स्टिल बिकम्स अ डीम्ड लेट आउट प्रॉपर्टी। इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट कहेगा कि मार्केट में जो रेट चल रहा है उसके हिसाब से रेंट कैलकुलेट करके पे टैक्स ऑन इट इवन इफ यू आर नॉट कलेक्टिंग, राइट? व्हेन इट कम्स टू इंटरेस्ट का डिडक्शन, लेट्स से आपकी दोनों प्रॉपर्टीज पे अलग अलग लोन्स चल रहे हैं, तो एज सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड ऑल्सो एज लेट आउट प्रॉपर्टी ऑल्सो आप दोनों का इंटरेस्ट का डिडक्शन क्लेम कर सकते हैं। तो सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड की यस, तो सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड
सॉरी प्लीज कंटिन्यू, सॉरी जी
सो सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड में 2 लाख का लिमिट है और जो लेट आउट प्रॉपर्टी है उसमें एक्चुअल इंटरेस्ट जो पे होता है उतना अलाउ होता है एंड एट द एंड ऑफ इट जितना तुम्हारा नेट लॉस आ रहा है हाउस प्रॉपर्टी के हेड में वो तुमको करंट ईयर में 2 लाख तक यू कैन क्लेम बेनिफिट ऑफ इट और बाकी का पूरा लॉस यू कैन कैरी फॉरवर्ड इट फॉर 8 फाइनेंशियल ईयर्स।
ओके यानी आप ये कह रहे हैं कि सेकंड हाउस का आपका डीम टू बी लेट आउट के हिसाब से और आपने जो इंटरेस्ट भरा है तो जितना आपका रेंट कैलकुलेट किया गया है मान लो कि आपने लेकिन सो इज देयर एनी लिमिटेशन टू क्लेम द इंटरेस्ट लाइक मान लो मैंने मेरे पूरे बरस में मैंने मेरे सेकंड प्रॉपर्टी पे 10 लाख का पूरा इंटरेस्ट भरा या 5 लाख का इंटरेस्ट भरा सो इज देयर एनी लिमिटेशन ऑन द इंटरेस्ट दैट आई कैन क्लेम फॉर द टैक्स बेनिफिट
नो सो आप पूरा क्लेम तो कर सकते हैं लेकिन जो जो आपका लॉस है वो लिमिट हो जाएगा 2 लाख रुपए तक तो आप उसको सिर्फ 2 लाख तक यू कैन क्लेम इट इन करंट ईयर और बाकी का लेट्स से 10 लाख में से रिमेनिंग 8 lakhs यू कैन कैरी फॉरवर्ड इट और फ्यूचर में यू कैन क्लेम इट अगर ज्यादा
ओके
So I think self-occupied में anything more than 2 lakh you end up losing it.
yes
While in let out you can carry it forward to the next
you
years.
can
I
carry
think another important change that came this year is now they allow 2 self-occupied house property incomes, right? So earlier where you can only claim the primary residence as a self-occupied, now you can also claim second property as a self-occupied property, and hence you don't have to do deemed let out, right? अगर वो rent पे नहीं है, so you don't have to hypothetically calculate rent and pay tax on it. You can just pay
Right.
zero tax on it.
Okay, right. Okay, abhi third question, what I'm going to ask you, Sakshi, about the taxation is, so third question that I'm going to ask you about the taxation, Sakshi, is, it is not related to the taxation, it is one common confusion, और internet पे इसके बहुत सारे आंसर है. NRI, क्या NRI PPF में इन्वेस्ट कर सकता है और अगर कर सकता है क्योंकि मैंने इंटरनेट पे इसके बारे में बहुत रिसर्च किया तो आई एम माई सेल्फ लिटिल कंफ्यूज कि अगर आपका ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग पीपीएफ अकाउंट है तो यू कैन कंटिन्यू यू कैन नॉट ओपन अ न्यू अकाउंट अब नया रूल ये कहता है कि अगर आपका एग्जिस्टिंग पीपीएफ अकाउंट है तो भी आप नहीं कर सकते और आपका जो पीपीएफ में ऑलरेडी कॉर्पस अक्रू हुआ है उसमें आपको इंटरेस्ट जो है वो सेविंग अकाउंट का इंटरेस्ट मिलना शुरू हो जाएगा तो इस पे आई एम नॉट श्योर इफ यू रियली अवेयर अबाउट द रूल बट इफ यू कैन पुट सम लाइट ऑन दिस
yeah so for residents we already know all investments and any interest that you claim on PPF is exempt from tax right in case of non-residents recently ये rule आया है कि non-resident PPF का account open नहीं कर सकते if they hold status of a non-resident okay
हाँ वो तो क्लियर है हाँ
but जिनके existing accounts है already PPF जिसमें interest भी accumulate होता है they are not allowed to invest more money into PPF plus you might know कि 15 years का lock-in period होता है PPF का तो उसके बाद अगर 15 years का पीरियड खत्म होता है तो इट ऑटोमेटिकली गेट्स क्लोज्ड योर अकाउंट गेट्स क्लोज्ड तो तब तक का जितना भी आपका कॉर्पस है जितना भी साल का इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है ऑल ऑफ दैट इज एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम टैक्स इट्स जस्ट दैट यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू रिन्यू योर अकाउंट फॉर द नेक्स्ट 5 year cycle.
Okay. Got it. Fair enough. So now, Sakshi, I put a ball onto you. I want you to answer 3 questions related to the taxation, which you feel are very common amongst the retail investors. Three basic questions जो आपको लगता है कि लोगों में कंफ्यूजन होता है लोग समझ नहीं पाते आप अपने हिसाब से मुझे आंसर कीजिए तो पहले क्वेश्चन बता दीजिए और फिर उसको सिंपल तरीके से आंसर कर दीजिए हमारे लिए
Okay, so I think one confusing question is of old and new tax regimes, right?
Okay.
So financial year 2021, जो year अभी चल रहा है, which is going to end on 31st March, वो year से it is going to become applicable as it was introduced in the budget. And old tax regime and new tax regime में what they've done is new tax regime में the tax rates have been reduced. And against that, they have stopped allowing deductions, exemptions, allowances. तो वो सब चीजें वो benefits उन्होंने remove कर दिए हैं. So it is very important for any person who is a salaried individual. That person has to make this analysis. कि उसको let's say for example, currently he is doing a lot of investments into 80C. He is claiming deduction for mediclaim. He is claiming, let's say, interest for education loan या interest for first time home buyer. So these are all chapter 6A के deductions, right? So if he is already claiming it, then he should stick to the old regime so that he can claim the benefits. And let's say if he is not making any investments या जबरदस्ती 1.5 lakhs PPF में या ELSS में invest कर रहे हैं every year. So in that case, he can just, if he does not want to invest and block his capital, he can just switch to the new tax regime where the tax rates are lesser and also he'll not get any benefit of deductions, which in any case he did not want to make.
I think there is a philosophical debate here, right? Because globally there is the school of thought process. You need to lower tax rate and increase your tax base, right? That means more people pay tax, but they pay lower tax. I think what finance minister wanted to do was essentially go down that path, right? But as I wrote in one of our articles, it felt like a weak poker hand, right? अब आपको all in जाना है पर आप जा नहीं रहे हो, right? You are keeping old
Right.
regime and new regime, right?
Right.
I think another very important point that Sakshi made, and I think you will concur, maybe you can also shed some light on it, is a lot of time we see people making inefficient investments just to save on taxes, right? People stay
That is one thing
invested.
I always, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
People stay invested in asset classes or financial instruments that are historically non-performant, right? They don't even beat inflation. So you are essentially losing money on those investments, right? So I think that is one very important thing where people can decide where they want to invest because they are not bound by this lure of Chapter 6A deduction. So you can invest in more performant asset classes like equity, right? Because a lot of us are young folks. India's average age right now is in 20s, mid 20s. So I think and especially now we don't have in India we don't have a social security net, right? We don't have government who's going to pay for us when we are elderly, right? So we need to do that wealth creation while in our productive years. So I think investing long term, like you mentioned, and investing in performant asset classes is very important lesson that everybody needs to learn.
Right. I think I completely agree with that point. That was a very well brought up point by you. Okay, what is the second thing that you would like to highlight about? This was the first problem about the new and old.
Yeah.
What about the second?
Just adding on to that point for old and new tax regimes, it's very important to understand how these tax rates change. If you notice, if your income goes beyond 15 lakhs, वहाँ से the tax rates become same for old and new tax regime. So for any income up to 15 lakh rupees, you get a benefit of lower taxes. And if your income is more than 15 lakhs, then new tax regime does not, help you. And if, let's say in the new tax regime, they've said that up to 5 lakh rupees, there will be zero tax. But even in case of old tax regime, if you have income up to 5 lakh rupees, you still get a rebate of 12,500, right? So eventually you don't end up paying taxes.
Right.
So that analysis and calculating that tax is very important.
Right. Fantastic. I think this is turning out to be a very learning session for many of our viewers as well. और कई सारी ऐसी टैक्सेशन को लेके चीजें जो मुझे भी अभी नहीं समझ में आ रही थी वो भी आने लगी है क्योंकि माय एक्सपर्टीज इज नॉट टू मच इनटू द टैक्स आई एम मोर इनटू प्लानिंग so अभी what is the third point that you would like to bring up Sakshi? What is third important point that people normally are confused with, especially the retail investors?
I think a lot of salaried people or even retail investors who are working as salaried people, उन लोगों के cases में they stay in rented houses, right? So first thing they need to consider is if they are paying rent और अगर वो rent monthly rent 50,000 से exceed होता है, तो in that case there is applicability of TDS. उन्होंने recently एक नया section introduce किया है जिसमें they have to deduct 5% rate TDS and they need to file a TDS return. Usually TDS return हर quarter पे file होता है. But in this case, a TDS return needs to be filed annually. एक ही पूरे साल के लिए एक साथ पूरा रिटर्न फाइल करना है और वो केस में पैन मैंडेटरी होता है नॉर्मल केसेस में TDS फाइल करने के लिए, पर ये केस में पैन के बेसिस पे भी हो सकता है. But that is something that everybody who's paying rent and if that rent is going to exceed 50,000 rupees, they need to deduct TDS. तो ये कॉमन प्रोविजन है जो काफी लोग को पता नहीं है तो वो एस्केप हो जाता है, बट इट इज मैंडेटरी.
Right. I think that was again a very good question answered by you. I think काफी लोगों को इस पे confusion था जो solve हो चुका होगा hopefully. तो I think अभी हम लोगों ने बहुत ज्यादा taxation की बातें कर ली, हम लोगों ने बहुत ज्यादा विश्वजीत के बारे में भी समझ लिया. तो अब एक before we wind up on this, I think it's almost an hour that we are talking. जब learning की बात होती है तो समय निकल जाता है. तो एक quick हम लोग एक छोटा सा आप दोनों के साथ क्या कहते हैं quick fire round करते हैं, ठीक है? एक जो रैपिड फायर राउंड करते हैं, ठीक है? तो लेट अस टॉक अबाउट विश्वजीत द आंसर हैज टू बी विद इन अ लाइन, ओके, विद इन अ सेंटेंस, ओके, यू डोंट नीड टू एलैबोरेट, वी डोंट वांट एनी जस्टिफिकेशन फ्रॉम यू, ठीक है? एक लाइन में आपको हमको आंसर देना है. ओके, सो नाउ कमिंग ऑन टू द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आई एम रैंडमली आस्किंग, आई एम नॉट रियली प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर इट. द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज मनी और स्टार्टअप, just one option. Would you like to earn more money or startup? So you say that money is a byproduct, पैसा आएगा, पहले startup पे focus करो.
Exactly.
Fine. So now second option is, what is your favorite pastime?
I am a binge watcher. I watch ton of Netflix, ton of
Okay,
Amazon
so what do you
Prime
watch?
Video.
What do you watch?
I watch everything and anything.
Oh, so you
I
like to watch
watch,
anything?
yeah, I watch American classic. I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you know Cohen brothers.
Okay,
So I watch ton of movies.
okay. I'm not sure if you watch Shark Tank. Like that is one thing that I love to watch.
I
I'm
do
sure you
watch,
would.
I do watch Shark Tanks.
Great. So now coming on to the third question. Third question, one book that you would like to recommend people.
I think one book that I would recommend to people is Art of. I mean, the name is apt, right? The book Art of Wealth Building,
Hmm.
written by Toby Maguire, who was Treasury Secretary for U.S. government for the longest amount of time. He was head of Goldman Sachs. So I think
Okay,
that's one book.
okay,
I mean, the
okay.
name is apt.
Fair enough. Okay, I think that is it. So now let's move on to Sakshi now. So Sakshi is already a little nervous, it seems. Okay. So, what would have been the second option if you were not a CA?
I think after working with Quico, I think I would have been a content writer.
Content writer. Okay, and I
Yes.
think you're already doing good at Quora. So yeah, you're already
Yes,
good
yes.
at it.
That's a new
Right, right.
skill I've explored.
Okay, fantastic. Now this may put you on a spot. Well, ठीक है. I think it can create a little bit of contradiction amongst the people. So let us. Okay, one book that you would like to recommend people.
I don't really read a lot of books, but
Okay.
I think Rich Dad Poor Dad is a book everybody might have read in school.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is
Yes.
something, I mean, I like that book and I've read it a couple of times. So I think,
Yeah. Okay. That indeed is a very good book. I think I've read almost like twice, thrice. कभी भी reference के लिए it's a good book, right? Okay. So third question to you is, what is your favorite pastime?
my favorite pastime would be spending all my time with my family and friends,
Okay.
chit chatting and watching movies and eating and everything. But that is the thing I love the most.
ओके सो अभी हमने जो है थोड़ी देर पहले साक्षी को तो पूछ लिया कि विश्वजीत की नेगेटिव क्वालिटीज क्या है तो डोंट वरी अभी मैं विश्वजीत को ये नहीं पूछूंगा कि साक्षी की नेगेटिव क्वालिटी क्या है लेकिन विश्वजीत जस्ट इन वन लाइनर टेल मी थ्री थिंग्स दैट यू लुक इनटू अ पर्सन व्हाइल हायरिंग हिम वेरी शॉर्ट व्हाट आर दीस थ्री थिंग्स
Strong work ethics. I think drive and passion are very important. And number three things is you have to be an adventurer, right? If you have gone through 4 years of engineering and done zero internship, then there is something wrong about it.
Okay. So that is okay. Great. Fair. So I think we have had enough fun. We have had enough of learning on this session. I think I can very well connect with you guys. You guys are really a very good people to chat with. So now, Vishwajit, before we wind up on this, one message. Even in that case, even Sakshi, one message. Let's start with Sakshi first. Sakshi, one message that you would, because you've topped your CA, that's what Vishwajit told me at the beginning, which I was not aware of. एक ऐसा मैसेज जो लोग अभी सीए कर रहे हैं उनको देना चाहोगे
आई थिंक जो सीए कर रहे हैं वो लोग बहुत केपेबल हैं दे आर एक्सट्रीमली हार्ड वर्किंग एंड दे हैव ब्रेन्स दैट इज व्हाट आई थिंक तो don't just stick to what you are studying and what you have thought about and a good corporate job always try to explore what more you can do and just keep sharpening your skills, try to explore more things, try to learn new things, and that is one reason why I joined Quicker. And I have been very happy. I think it's one of the best decisions of my life.
So there is a plug there. We are hiring CAs.
okay
Well, I think
Great.
what she's
And
saying is look beyond Big Four, go work at startups, do something new.
okay. अब देखिए आई मीन जस्ट बीइंग ऑफ द टॉपिक मैंने रिसेंटली एक आर्टिकल पढ़ा था कि आजकल बड़ी कंपनीज जो बच्चे स्टार्टअप के साथ काम करके आते हैं उनको ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस दे रही है क्योंकि स्टार्टअप में ज्यादा कुछ सीखने मिलता है आप ही आईटी वाले बन जाते हो आईपी जैसा आपने कहा आप ही जेनेटर भी बन जाते हो जो भी आप ही बन जाते हो तो ये एक आई थिंक आजकल बड़ी कंपनी उन्हीं लोगों को हायर करना प्रेफर करती है जो स्टार्टअप के एक्सपीरियंस लेके आ रहे हैं बिकॉज दे आर ऑलरेडी द प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर्स राइट नाउ वन थिंग विश्वजीत बिफोर यू वाइंड अप दिस इज द लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ दिस इवनिंग one question that I would like to ask you is very, very, very plain one liner. हाउ डू यू डिस्क्राइब योर स्टार्टअप क्विको? वन लाइनर में आप क्या कहना चाहोगे अपने स्टार्टअप के बारे में?
I mean, Quico is not a tech company. Quico is a technology company, right? So we use technology to disrupt taxes in India, and we do it for millions of individuals and small businesses who, up until now, used to rely on physical resources, which with coronavirus and COVID are not accessible. Because you can't go meet your chartered accountants, right? That physical interaction is not possible now. So I think that's what we are trying to solve.
Fantastic. So I think that was quite an interactive session with you guys. Is there anything else that you guys would like to ask me? Anything that I have not asked you and you would like to proactively, you were expecting that I will ask और आपको अगर आंसर करना है जो viewers के लिए काम का आएगा, कुछ ऐसी है चीज जो आप लोग बताना चाहोगे?
I think Bhavin, we had a wonderful time. I think one very important thing is, since you are a CFP, I think there's a philosophical debate in India raging right now, right? We saw exponential growth in capital markets, right? So what do you think? Do you think, are we adding new investors, retail investors into marketplace, or this was a momentarily trend that will die away as we go back to normal?
See, I think there was a little bit of voice distortion here, but I understood your question. Just to summarize, आपने मुझे ये पूछा कि ये जो कैपिटल मार्केट में जो इतना पैसा आ रहा है वो ट्रेंड कंटिन्यू होगा कि नहीं होगा?
More than money, people, right? Zerodha saw themselves grow from 12-13 lakh account to 36 lakh accounts in matter of 6 months. So 3x growth. So do you think that retail investor is sticking around, or do you see them kind of disappearing as we go back to normal?
Okay. देखिए, I would tell you why the capital market would the retail investors जो है वो capital market में क्यों invest करेंगे. मैं आपको मेरा opinion बता रहा हूँ. सबसे पहले तो अगर हम आज से 20-25 साल पहले की बात अगर हम करें तो हमारे पेरेंट्स के पास ज्यादा करके ऑप्शन होता था या गोल्ड या प्रॉपर्टी या वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो पॉलिसी. ठीक है, तब तक जो है हमारे पेरेंट्स के पास कैपिटल मार्केट का एक्सेस इतना इजीली नहीं था जितना आज है. ओके, ये हो गई पहली बात. दूसरा देखो, अगर हम गोल्ड की बात करें तो गोल्ड का प्रॉब्लम ये है कि लोग गोल्ड को एज अ इन्वेस्टमेंट देखते हैं, लेकिन गोल्ड इज नॉट अ इन्वेस्टमेंट. इट इज यू कैन से इट इज एन एसेट टू स्टोर द वैल्यू. तो गोल्ड आपको कोई कैश फ्लो नहीं देता है. ओके, नो डाउट गोल्ड इज लिक्विड. जब हम प्रॉपर्टी की बात करें तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि प्रॉपर्टी में जितना सैचुरेशन आना था आ चुका है. इट इज नॉट वेरी लिक्विड. नॉट अ थर्ड ऑप्शन दैट पीपल कैन लुक एट इज इक्विटी, विच इज मोर लिक्विड, विच कैन गिव यू गुड रिटर्न. अगर आपको लिक्विडिटी के साथ अगर प्रॉपर्टी में इन्वेस्ट करना है तो आप REITs खरीद सकते हो. अगर आपको बॉन्ड्स और डिबेंचर्स नहीं खरीदता तो आपके पास डेट फंड्स के ऑप्शन ओपन है. तो काफी सारे लिक्विड ऑप्शंस है. और मैं आपको एक सच बात बताऊं विश्वजीत, मैं काफी सारे यंग लोगों के साथ इंटरेक्ट करता हूं. यंग लोग मुझे एक ही चीज कहते हैं कि सर हमको ना घर नहीं खरीदना, हमको एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए. आई वुड रादर गो ऑन अ वेकेशन देन बाइंग अ हाउस एंड गेटिंग स्टक एट वन प्लेस. आजकल किसी का जॉब एक साल में बैंगलोर में होता है तो दूसरे साल में हैदराबाद में होता है, राइट? तो हमारे पेरेंट्स के जमाने में कैसा था कि 40 साल तक वो लोग एक ही नौकरी में होते थे, उनको पेंशन भी उनका एम्प्लॉयर प्रोवाइड करवाता था. लेकिन नाउ थिंग्स आर चेंज्ड, थिंग्स आर वेरी डायनामिक, सो पीपल आर नॉट विलिंग टू कमिट, राइट? तो ये एक रीजन है जो, एंड ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज अ ईज ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन. आज के डेट में आप जीरोधा से अगर आपको स्टॉक्स खरीदना है या म्यूचुअल फंड खरीदना है, इट इज अ मैटर ऑफ 10 सेकंड्स दैट यू कैन डू दैट, राइट? तो पहले इतना ईज नहीं होता था. मुझे याद है एक जमाने में ब्लैक स्क्रीन पे हम लोग ट्रेडिंग करते थे. आजकल ट्रेडिंग कितना सिंपल हो गया है, राइट? So this is to answer your question. ये ट्रेंड मेरे हिसाब से कंटिन्यू होगा. And like you said at the beginning of the call, you are very bullish on India. I can say I am also very bullish on India because India जो है that is a young population. ठीक है, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो इनकम पैरिटी है. I mean of course जो पर कैपिटा जो है वो बढ़ रहा है, लोगों के पास डिस्पोजेबल इनकम बढ़ रही है. आज से 5 साल पहले मेरे घर के नीचे ऑडी या BMW दिखने पे हम लोग खुश होते थे. आज अगर मैं मेरे विंडो पे खड़ा हो जाऊं तो हर तीसरी गाड़ी मुझे ऑडी या BMW दिखती है. सो दैट शोज कि लोगों के पास अब पैसे हैं स्पेंड करने के लिए, राइट? आज से 3-4-5 साल पहले आईफोन इंडिया में खरीदना मतलब बहुत बड़ी बात थी. आज के डेट में एवरी अदर पर्सन हैज आईफोन इन हिज हैंड, राइट? तो ये सब चीजों से पता चलता है कि पीपल आर बाइंग डिजाइनर वॉचेस, पीपल आर बाइंग एक्सपेंसिव क्लोथ्स. तो लोगों के पास डिस्पोजेबल इनकम ज्यादा है जो लोग प्लानिंग के साथ इक्विटी में डालना पसंद करेंगे. तो आई थिंक दिस ट्रेंड शुड कंटिन्यू. दिस इज व्हाट टू आंसर इन शॉर्ट, राइट? तो विश्वजीत, कोई ऐसी चीज है जो आपने एक्सपेक्ट की थी मैं आपसे पूछूंगा, या साक्षी जो आपने एक्सपेक्ट की थी मैं आपसे पूछूंगा और शायद मेरे से मिस आउट हो गई हो, तो प्लीज यू कैन कम्युनिकेट ऑन दैट.
No, I think आपका और हमारा focus is on retail investors and traders, right? And I think there is a lot of confusion. Usually लोग black box की तरह treat करते हैं taxes को, right? कि भाई मैं अपना सारा data अपने chartered accountant को दे देगा, and then what he does I don't care or I don't understand, right? So I think hopefully we have kind of uncluttered some of that. Taxes are very simple. I think you must take control of your taxes. I think financial awareness and frugality is first way to saving money, right? So I think we have achieved that objective, and we would love to do it again. We are salespeople, right? As entrepreneurs, and whenever we get an opportunity to, talk about the problems that we are solving and sell our product, talk about, how we are solving it. We are always happy to come and talk about it. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, Bhavin.
अरे मोस्ट वेलकम सर. टेल यू व्हाट विश्वजीत, जब आपकी टीम ने मुझे कांटेक्ट किया था, आई ओनली लुक्ड एट द वैल्यू दैट आई कैन क्रिएट फॉर द ऑडियंस. I was not really worried about the money part, that you will pay me something, you will not pay me, and I did not even bother to ask you कि आप मुझे कोई पे करो, because मैंने क्विको में एक वैल्यू सॉल्व कर रहे हो, and I should support that, right? So that was the only intention that I decided to do it with you guys. So I think great job done by both of you on this call, on this webinar. Thank you so much. I am hoping कि लोग इसको like करेंगे, सब्सक्राइब करेंगे, उसको शेयर करेंगे लोगों के साथ जिसके साथ वो ये नॉलेज शेयर करना चाहते हैं, बिकॉज बहुत कम ऐसा होता है कि एक एंटरप्रेन्योर अपनी जर्नी के बारे में बात करता है, राइट? तो होपफुली अगर इसको अच्छे व्यू आ गए, इसको लोगों ने पसंद किया, तो वी मे लुक एट वन मोर सेशन एंड लेट्स सी उसमें कुछ और नया लेके आ सकते हैं. तो फाइन.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bhavin.
Thank you so much to all the viewers who spent their time watching this video until the end. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you both of you. Hoping to keep in touch.
All right, fantastic. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Cut. All right.